Hello, sweet honeybees, and welcome to the Electric Honey Pot, where energy is the nectar of life. My name is Autumn, and this whole project is about the human experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of the magic that happens in between. Now, I want to do most of my speaking in this project from the heart without a script, but this one's going to be a little bit different because I have to be careful about what it is that I say and how I say it in order to get my story out there while also still protecting myself. Now, it's not because of the witch wound that I have been working very hard to heal over the last year of my life. But if you stick around until the end, you will recognize my reasons as to why I have to be so careful. Um, the title kind of gives it away. But first, I want to start by talking a little bit about the spiritual gifts that I have and that I've honestly had since I was a child, but I shut them down. I've had vivid dreams for as long as I can remember. Some have been so vivid, I believe they were real before I even understood dreams the way I do today. I experience aphantasia, which means I cannot picture images in my mind. Because of this, I have always had sort of a clear knowing that my dreams are more than just my imagination creating images in my head. Same for when colors or images come through while I'm in meditation. I used to lucid dream as a small child until one night when I was in a parallel universe, I revealed that I was awake. The dream world grew dark, and everyone looked at me as their faces began to twist. I woke up paralyzed in my body to the shadowy entity known as the Hat Man staring at me from the doorway. Go look him up. Go look up the Hat Man if you have not heard of this before. It is a common entity, a shadow figure that people see while in a state of sleep paralysis. I have seen him several times in my life. I was so scared, but I couldn't move or call out to my dad for help for what felt like an eternity. Back then, I didn't understand what I was doing, and I didn't understand that there is no bias in that realm, which allows free flow travel of malevolent and benevolent energies because it's all the same. God does not recognize, the universe does not recognize good or bad the way humans do. I wasn't properly prepared or protected within my own energy yet. And when I told my dad, he didn't believe me. He told me it was all just a nightmare and a figment of my imagination. And this was the beginning of me fearing and rejecting my gifts and who I am in this life. Other times when I dreamed, my dreams would be prophetic of things yet to come. I hadn't yet developed a sense of knowing which ones were possible outcomes of future events, but as time passed, I would come to realize I had dreamed about certain events and experiences happening as the deja vu hit me in the moment. This has happened on and off my entire life, and now that I am more connected to my spirituality and gifts, I have been able to recognize some of these dreams in order to shift outcomes, make decisions, and protect myself. My dreams and premonitions have not always been pleasant. In fact, throughout my childhood and teenage years, I had nightmares and night terrors with reoccurring themes that I would later discover were related to past life and current life trauma that I hadn't healed yet. I was frightened by the dark, and I suffered from terrible insomnia from anxiety as I tried to go to sleep each night. Starting in my teenage years, I began smoking copious amounts of cannabis before bed to help me get to sleep. That greatly affected my ability to recall my dreams, other than the night terrors. As my spiritual awakening deepened in 2024 and I began to get sober and clean up my diet, my dreams became wildly vivid again. I intuitively decided I needed to keep a journal beside me as I sleep to record my dreams. I started interpreting the symbolism to decode hidden messages within them. This allowed me to see shadow aspects of myself and begin healing lifetimes of trauma. I was performing soul retrievals for myself and other souls I had connections with in this life and prior lives. I learned information about some of my previous lives and the star origin of my particular soul. This is when the magic really started to take place. Deities began appearing in my dreams to interact with me and share hints on where to search for more knowledge. Some notable moments I can recall were being taken to a great library by Hermes, the thrice great, and another time I was followed by Hades as I worked to recover soul fragments in the underworld. He attempted to touch me, but there was a force field surrounding me, preventing it. Just a few weeks later, after that dream, I would witness myself creating energetic boundaries in the physical world, repelling negative energies from influencing people that were within my protective aura. I was inside of a place called Lucid Lounge when this happened. It's the place where dreams come true, where I became fully conscious of myself being the great spirit experiencing itself, where I began to realize just how truly powerful I am. I was in communication with my mom, my nana, and my pawpaw's spirits. They encouraged my evolution and supported me as I came to the realization that my uncle was involved in my mom's brutal death. I traveled into a future timeline, even where my mom was repeating the exact same cycle. I asked if she believed in psychic abilities, and she told me yes. So I began telling her what happens to her if she stays with that man and how I know. She told me she didn't realize it would get that bad, and we cried while holding each other. I woke up at a time in the morning that is the number that I associate with my mom. I know it was real. I then had another dream that I feel is a premonition. I was being interviewed by news sources and social media influencers wanting to know the details of how I knew my uncle's involvement before the police caught on. My uncle had been planning an attack against me and was caught just in time. There were multiple arrests in association with the case. A friend told me later that same week she had a dream where I was on the news being interviewed. It confirmed my intuitive feelings about it being a premonition, and then I told her about my own dream. Dreams are more than just figments of our imaginations and our brains processing information. Scientifically, there is no conclusive answer to whether or not our pineal glands produce DMT, the spirit molecule, during theta brainwave production. However, I know from my own spiritual development, connection to source consciousness, and personal experiences that it does. Dreams are partly a result of theta brainwaves produced during REM sleep, creating DMT in the pineal gland. It is on par with entering a trance state during meditation or shamanic journeying. Recently, I had a very interesting dream that was foreshadowing some truth coming into the light for me. This is where I get into the messages and the whole purpose of recording this. On the night of February 10th, as the energy of the full moon began to grow, I dreamed that I was attending some kind of school where oddball students were being emotionally abused and manipulated. The school was taking large amounts of money and energy from the students to fuel the egos of the overseers and fund their lavish lifestyles. Some of us wanted to leave the school, and we were swept away in a flood as we attempted to exit. We swam with the current rather than drown. As we washed onto the shore, fireworks began going off over our heads. We walked through a gate that closed and locked behind us, trapping us inside of an arena area. Then a great voice told us that there are to be 3 tests that we have to pass. The first test began with many volcanoes rising from the ground with demons erupting from each one to fight and enslave us. Some of the students surrendered their freedom, no questions asked, and joined the demons. Some of them were scared and hiding from confronting what was going on. A few decided to bravely fight beside me as Archangel Michael appeared beside the arena and told us not to give up against the volcano demons. I woke up and recorded myself half asleep describing the dream, but I wouldn't come back to journaling it until the 13th, which was after the truth it had related to had already been revealed to me. I was having horrible anxiety about the situation and processing very heavy emotions of shame, guilt, and blame for myself as I finally came out of denial of what I had experienced. When I heard the recording, I realized I was being sent a message about what I had gone through. The song Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics comes to my mind. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. I didn't recognize I was repeating a pattern of being taken advantage of in my desperation to feel connected to others until it was too late. I had been guided into the situation by following the signs and omens the universe sent me. Synchronicities. Even the painful experiences truly are meant for our evolution. I was meant to go through this to balance the light and dark energies within me and discover how truly powerful, adaptive, and cunning I am. I destroyed myself through the experience so I could be reborn whole again. It's time for my own shadow to come out to play with the shadows of others that created her and don't want her to be seen or heard. I'm angry. I was at a stage in my life where I was alone as my shamanic awakening deepened. I had been putting in a lot of energy to heal myself and grow, which caused many people to exit my life. I wanted to be a part of a community I felt I could be myself in while increasing my spiritual connection. At first, I felt so seen and connected, so I gave it my all. Even being recognized for my efforts with material gifts by the mentors for my participation. I saw those in charge having fun, finding success, and being celebrated by others, things that I wanted in my life as a black sheep, confused about my place in the world and barely surviving financially each day. I was encouraged that I could find purpose, increase my income, and change my life with what they offered. I was told it's a growing industry, and if I get in now, the potential for clients of my own is high, as everyone is going to want this. I didn't know what I wanted to be doing in my life, and I decided to trust what I was being sold. I took a leap of faith and listened to outside guidance that I was investing in myself over the nervousness of the price tag. Within a month, my intuition began sending me alarm bells that something wasn't right with what I was being trained to do. I watched people being mentored into how to mentor others to join the program to be mentors too. It felt icky to me. I hadn't yet realized I had invested in a course on building pyramid schemes and recruiting others to join me in building pyramid schemes, wrapped up in self-help concepts, spirituality, and fun to mask what I was truly purchasing. I began isolating myself from the community as I didn't want to face what I had gotten myself into. And I didn't feel ethically right participating in neural reprogramming of others in such a manner as a healer myself. I started to feel crazy for not feeling safe, as there was never any negative criticism of the program taking place, despite hearing others mention feeling uncomfortable with the burden of the cost. They would just be mentored about how they're blocked for making an investment in themselves. They're resistant to it. Prior to joining, I was filled with joy and curiosity about my spiritual healing journey. I had learned how to set firm boundaries with people in my life. I was longing for new connections, but I wasn't dependent on seeking information and validation through others to trust myself and my decisions. After joining, all of that changed quickly. Where I once turned inward to my alone time, meditating in nature and journaling, I was now waiting for my interactions with people supposed to be mentoring me to validate my experiences and growth process. My emotions became unstable as I felt like I couldn't trust myself, and I had a hard time connecting to my own inner guidance. My sense of boundaries became non existent. I stayed in hardship the entire time, but I was not allowed to get out even though I wasn't participating. No one cared that I was being harmed emotionally, spiritually, or financially. I'd tell my mentor I'm having thoughts of not being alive surface again, and I would make comments about feeling like my life is a mistake, just to be told it's time for me to go deeper. I had overcome those feelings about life until the burden of this experience took over me, on top of the other difficulties I was dealing with, like the murder of my mother, my stolen inheritance, losing my best friends, being scared of becoming homeless, and not having a car. Shortly after joining, I had discovered things that I wanted to be doing with my life without the help of the program. I began having thoughts about how I could have used the money to pursue my dreams and actually feel like I have purpose in my life. I would push these thoughts down, not ready to confront the mistake I made in trusting the wrong people to guide me instead of having faith in myself and my spirit to guide me. I was not ready to admit how I had been used once again for wanting to feel like I belonged somewhere. I had so much guilt and shame weighing me down. I continued denying my own intuition as another person guided me into further confusion about what I am supposed to be doing with my life. I lied to myself that the investment was worth it just because I finally had someone I could talk to about my spiritual experiences without judgment. Of course, there wasn't judgment when they are being paid to listen to me. I felt stupid paying people to pretend to care about me. After falling behind on payments and the building of stress, I began opening up to people in my personal life about what I was in without naming it. I was scared and embarrassed to name it or talk about it because I had signed a very restrictive contract that would not allow any boundaries or protections for me. It was also always stressed that speaking about anything that goes on violates the sacredness of the container and what they are doing. Every person I confided in told me I was in a pyramid scheme and said it sounds similar to a cult. It reminded people of the Twin Flames Universe documentary. I started to realize that I was involved with spiritual narcissism. They're using healing for personal gain. It not only feeds their pockets, it not only fills their pockets, but it also feeds their overinflated egos to have a community that praises them without any kind of criticism for what they're doing. Their egos are fragile, so they do not allow those that have negative experiences to have a voice. The contract is designed to prevent victims that become aware of the manipulation from speaking out or from being able to remove themselves from the situation entirely. You aren't allowed to decide it isn't for you without still paying up. They use fear tactics through threatening legal action to silence the people they hurt. If you are offered a way out, it's not going to be clean and easy. They will attempt to get as much money out of you as possible while forcing you to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that is essentially a gag order. It bars you from speaking about your experiences, telling you that you cannot remain in contact with anyone that is still participating. I was told that it's because if others knew, they would want out too. These so-called healers seek to remove my personal power by silencing me from speaking my truth and telling my story. They know that voice is the most powerful tool to build or destroy in this world. I wonder how many others have allowed their voices to be silenced and ignored their intuition because they were told they are just blocked, scared to invest in themselves, or not digging deep enough. Licensed professionals with real credentials don't prevent clients from leaving authentic reviews. Businesses operating publicly allow authentic reviews. Why do these people have to hide behind non-negotiable, non-refundable, non-disparaging contracts and so-called sacred containers where what happens within it stays within it in order to have a successful business? If you ask me, anyone that wants to silence the voice of another human being and control their free will knows that they are doing something wrong. They have something to hide if they cannot handle criticism of their work and leave no room for people to make decisions for themselves. They say they believe in their clients, yet they have to hold their clients hostage. They claim it is for accountability, but they have zero accountability for the influence that they hold over other people by displaying themselves as successful healers that love their lives and have fun as they sell their overpriced courses to vulnerable clients. There is a lot of talk about integrity for how our actions and behaviors impact others, but they have zero integrity within their own business practices. They just pass blame, shame, and guilt onto their clients, telling them how they chose this experience by joining. They talk a lot about shadow work, but they allow their shadows to run rampant over others while claiming you have to be willing to cause pain for others to grow. Well, I guess in my case, it is true because I'm finding my power to speak despite their threats to silence me and my fear of embarrassment. I'm stepping into my power because of their mistreatment. Be careful who you allow to teach you about neuroprogramming. Do you know who is reprogramming the way you think and feel about your own experiences? Why do you need their help to believe in yourself or to feel like you belong somewhere? Can you trust their intentions aren't designed to benefit their egos and their pockets? Are they preying on your self-doubts, your fears, insecurities, traumas, or loneliness to make them seem like they're loving and safe? Do they market what they offer as original when the ideas can be found elsewhere? Is the cost of mentorship fair? Do they tell you how cheap it is when it is a large investment? Do they apply pressure, telling you to decide now to get bonuses or before prices increase? Are their boundaries over restrictive of you and non-negotiable? Do they offer a way for you to leave or change your mind if it doesn't resonate with you? Do they give you the opportunity to be human and try something out and decide that it wasn't meant for you? Do they ask you to recruit others? Do they allow criticism from you or just for you? The next part, however, take this next part however you want to take it. I just want to provide a little food for thought here about a subject I was fascinated by when I was younger that other people brought up to me when I told them about what I was in. I've had interactions with known cults like the Yellow Deli, also known as the 12 Tribes. And had I not been previously aware of the organization, I may not have initially felt intuitively off by the interaction I had with them. It was welcoming, friendly, and otherwise normal. In fact, I've had vulnerable friends with low self-esteem, unhealed trauma, and desires to belong somewhere tell me how nice and fun they were, not knowing it is a cult. My friend told me how they throw these fun dance parties for college kids, too. They're very good at creating a warm, welcoming environment to create a sense of safety. It's part of the game. I just think of how easy it would have been to convince my friend to be a part of their cult had she not asked me if I knew about it. By the time she would have realized, it would have been too late because she's already a part of it. The manipulation and mind games happen so quickly because they use neural reprogramming techniques while targeting the most vulnerable. They target people that are still searching for their identities, purpose, and community. I just want to provide one definition of a cult for funsies here. Part A, a great devotion to a person, an idea, an object, a movement, or a work. Part B, the object of such devotion. Part C, a usually small group of people characterized by such devotion to this person, idea, object, movement, or work. I also think it's important to know a few characteristics to help recognize a cult if you ever come across one. A charismatic leader or leaders whose teachings are considered to be of the highest importance. Members are subjected to thought reprogramming or brainwashing. The group exploits members financially, psychologically, and emotionally to further the goals of leadership. Members are dependent on the group for community and support. No tolerance for dissent. So that means no questioning or doubting the group's methods, behaviors, and beliefs. It leaves no room for criticism. Fear tactics are used to control members in addition to the reprogramming techniques. Members who leave are shunned and they're not allowed to make contact with anyone that is still a part of the group. Current members will also often aggressively defend the leaders and cult when criticized, unable to recognize how they have been manipulated. It's all part of the programming. Take all of that information however you want to take it. I want to end on one final note. If you are feeling alone as you go through your spiritual awakening process, sit with yourself, knowing that you are never truly alone and your tribe will find you. They are out there. You do not have to pay large sums of money or sign contracts to be loved and supported within a community or to find your purpose. If you are feeling lost and without purpose, try new things without large commitments or obligations. Trust that your path will be revealed as you focus on learning about yourself, healing, and growing. You have purpose just by existing. You are right where you are meant to be in this moment. There's no need to force it, as it happens in divine timing. Your time, energy, and resources are very valuable, and there are those out there that want them. Do not give up your personal power to fit in somewhere. You are worth so much more than that. Build your own dreams, not someone else's. Stay safe out there. Stay blessed. Stay curious. I love you.